Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer boards, recorder videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to my behind-the-scenes DM-only live stream, Crafting the Golden Vault, which I built, write, and prepare for our next session of Keys from the Golden Vault. If you're playing characters Cherie, Elowen, Stacey, Tavino, or Vero, the stream is not meant for you to be full of spoilers, but the rest of you are always welcome. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/roguewatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20.net. For streaming, I use OBS Studio. I'm just now realizing I left my glasses in the other room. That's weird. Man, I don't usually do that. I often take them off in the evenings and then put them back on at some point. But I'm one of those that like barely needs glasses. I definitely use them to drive, and at this point, they're transitions. So it's often very, very sunny in Texas, so I just kind of wear them all the time. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't have them on. Also, everything's been really laggy for me. I think it has something to do. My wife was telling me that Amazon Web Services was down today for a good chunk of today. So it's probably affecting a lot of your all jobs, I would expect. I could not get the podcast episodes to upload at all, and I thought I was going crazy trying to figure out why it just wouldn't punch through at the end. So I guess that makes sense. So if you are expecting timely releases of the Rogue Watson podcast, we'll have to wait till tomorrow because apparently, I guess anybody who uses the Spotify platform to upload is probably not getting their stuff today. Also, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor that I'm now working with the channel. Put a little link in the live chat there. Noble Knight Games, where you will see a logo on the screen now, as well as an affiliate link. So if you want to support the channel, but you don't want to do the Patreon thing, which I totally get. If you're going to shop, basically, for, nerd stuff like games and dice and RPG books, especially old out-of-print stuff, Noble Knight Games seems like a really good retailer for that because they have a huge selection of stuff that other people have traded in over however many years. So I've worked with them before, and I was really impressed with how they worked. So be sure to check them out. All right, we're still talking about the Stygian Gambit, although I may be tempted to start getting a little bit ahead of things because they may be here in a while, and I don't know what else I guess I'm planning for at this stage. We can talk about kind of what they reconned and maybe what we think they're going to do, which is often what DM prep involves, I guess, is trying to presume what the players will do and prep for that. They did seem particularly interested in the Circus Saga, which we do have a druid player, so that's not super surprising. But they spent a long time doing that, and Elowen especially getting back into the circus prep area, talking to the animals. I did not end up pulling the trigger on the fact that the animals are actually transformed people. I could still do that, I guess, if maybe the people aren't aware or something, but ultimately it might just... I guess I couldn't decide last week if it was something that I wanted to unload on them. Yeah, I couldn't decide, basically. And I thought, you know what, it almost... Does that take away from the druid wanting to free animals thing? Is like, oh, they're actually people. It feels like almost a weird like bait and switch for the druid character. Like, oh, I wanted to rescue animals, not people. Especially for such like an eco-terrorist. That's a bad term, but I don't know. Somebody who's very militant, I guess, about animal rights and all that, and to have it be like, oh wait, they aren't even actual animals. So that was kind of floating in my head, I guess. It still could have gone either way, and I think it would have been an interesting twist. And I am a little bit worried going into it that the party is still not fully aware of what they have to do, like in terms of getting to the vault and finding the contracts, all that. Like, there's a lot that kind of left open. Now, they did a good job of scouting out. I guess they did a good job of checking out places that was not going to put them in any immediate danger, which I applaud them. The fact that they kind of realized, like, hey, we don't have all our gear. This is just meant to scout out the area. We don't want to put anybody in dangerous position. Probably Elowen going into the back circus prep area was the single most dangerous thing that they did. And even then, I think everybody played it pretty cool and chill about not wanting to start anything. And even she was like, hey, we'll come back and rescue again. So I appreciated that too, because that's something that I had told kind of the players several times over was, hey, feel free to do the casing the joint part first of the heist, and then back off and, reconvene with the whole party, get all your gear, know kind of what you have to do. Interestingly enough, Chris mentioned, hey, is it possible to climb into this place, and sneak in? Because that's something he did in the museum heist, is he wanted to climb into a place rather than go through the front entrance. And I said, yes, but very challenging. I don't believe the adventure even includes that as an option. But because it's they kind of treat it as an exit only, which is the waterfall. But I mean, anywhere there's a cliff, there's a climb. Is that a saying? Where there's a cliff, there's a climb? That's what the 4-story thief is always saying. I mean, you still have to make it into the water. You have to be able to swim or take a boat, I guess, through like ocean water. Somehow get all the way into this underwater cave where it's dark, and then climb up a sheer cliff face with a waterfall. That is all very, very challenging without the aid of magic. So I don't want to put a kibosh on players' plans, especially when I think it could potentially be interesting. But that is going to be very, very challenging for him to pull off. I was thinking instead the waterfall, because, they can still make it. Well, okay. I guess the tricky thing is they know they have to smuggle in their magic gear somehow. But they talked about how Elowin could, morph into a crocodile or something and swim in the water and maybe somehow find a blind spot where she can resurface and hand off the bag, or some kind of shenanigans that I'm definitely willing to go work with the party for. But I think trying to smuggle, I think coming in this entrance is still the way to go. And then I think exiting via the waterfall is going to be the way to go as well, unless they pull things off so slickly that they're not, running for their life to get out of here, basically, which could happen. So that's a possibility, that they want to try to do a crazy climbing gear scenario. I am willing for them to use the river to be able to smuggle things in that they want. I guess you can do a crocodile, right? So you can do a swim speed at this level? Is that a new thing? Or could they always do a swim speed? I know it's funny that she's the battle morphing druid, which actually I think is the wrong kind of druid to be in a heist. Because all the forms that would be good in a heist are like the sneaky stealth forms, or like the little insects and shit, not like bears and stuff. And during the big battle we had at the museum, I don't think she ever actually wild-shaped. I think she just used her moon power. So I guess I like the fact that she went Circle the Moon specifically for the moon theme, whereas I think every other druid I've ever known goes Circle the Moon because of the shapes, the whole shape mechanic thing. So that part's been interesting for me. And I'm glad that we had 2 players that were involved in the tournament scene. That was fun. I was hoping we would do a little more RP and banter, but I don't know if the players weren't feeling it, or we didn't quite get fully engaged in it like I wanted to. I guess because it's a split party situation, I also had to split the time between all 3 of them. So if the whole party was in the tournament area, I think we would have done a lot more RP stuff there. In terms of who's left, Tavine and Stacey both moved on. And who else? I think Arlo actually did not move on. I'm trying to think, because I did roll all that legitimately. Trying to go back down to my notes. Yeah, so Enna did Anais and Nightshade, which were the 2 tieflings, with Stacey did, and then our 2 PCs. So I wonder, it would be nice if we got down to 4 total tables, but maybe we can do 2 rounds of the tournament and actually make this exciting. Because we had, there are other people who weren't at those tables that were involved. So I guess I should have announced some other folks that were there. Because I may have enough. Well, let's say we do 2 tables of 3 each. And then we do a semi, and that's like the first tournament, and then it eliminates 2 or 3 people. And then we go to the final table to where there's only 1 table left. So I think that's what I wanted. I'm going to start off with this one with 2 tables during the heist session, which is going to be funny that like 2 of the players who want to be involved in the heist are just going to be involved in this tournament situation. And maybe they want to do something distracting, or I don't know how exactly they want to swing that, I guess, because technically the tournament is not part of the heist, although that is a way that people can legitimately win a pretty nice frickin' prize as well. So there is that. And I don't want to have that tournament take up the whole time. So it might be possible they want to purposely lose or something. I don't know. So we'll have to work on that. I guess I didn't think that part ahead. I was like, oh yeah, people, because they're going to be going back here, Now we have the tricky situation where like some of the players have a commitment to do a thing during when it would normally be like heist 30. So I guess I haven't thought that fully through. In terms of Arlo, I guess if he got eliminated, where is he going to be? I did say he has to meet with Quentin. So maybe that will happen. At some point. Maybe we can time it. Arlo sitting in a chair, and then he'll walk up to Quentin like at some point at the beginning, near the beginning of the heist, and that'll kind of bring Quentin to the back room for a meeting, and then the party might take advantage of that in some way. None but Chris are built for heists. I think Sherry's actually really well built for heists. I think an illusionist wizard is actually a really good heist character archetype. I mean, suggestion alone is really good to have. I mean, a wizard, honestly, is just probably the single best class to have for a heist, just because you have so much at your disposal. A party of wizards would probably be one of the best things. I guess bard or sorcerer is technically more efficient because you could also be the face with your heist. Yeah, that's probably the only one I got. But you know, you're talking about the party that Chris played literally a private eye detective in Tomb of Annihilation. So I don't necessarily make my players or expect them to play a specific character. I want them to play whatever character that they're going to be most excited to play in the campaign. That being said, I do tell them up front what the campaign is and what the themes are going to be. So at some point, it is on them to kind of match that together. He has no pants. That's fair. So we're going to have Arlo meet, but it'll be the two tieflings. I might actually separate them just to make things interesting. Actually, I don't have... How many do I have then? 1, 2, 3. That would be 4, 5. So I might need to bring 2 more NPCs. So maybe these 2. This guy's gone. And then, because it's day 2 of the tournament, I think I'm actually going to move all of these guys out of here as well. It'll just be private tournament time. Is that too tedious, or should I just have 1 table left? Because if I have one... I can't actually do 1 table, because I had at least 3 NPCs move on, plus the 2 PCs. That's 5 people. And there's 4 chairs per table. So that's what I'm trying to make it so that both... Basically, I'm anticipating both PCs want to do the tournament. We split them up between 2 tables. Instead of it being them and 3 people, it's them and 2 people each. We go through the skill challenge again. Now that they know kind of how it's working and maybe they have some things to advantage themselves. And the idea is the bottom 1 or 2 of each table gets eliminated so that we end up with a table of 4 for the very final standings. At that point, I do have to track what the final standings are because there was a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place remaining. Oh, actually, no, I don't need both these people. Sorry, my math is wrong. Get rid of... Let's see, we'll put a man and a woman at each table, so get rid of you. Okay, so now I have 3 of the original... who are these people? Anais, I think, which is a cool name. Nightshade and Karn are the 3 casino patrons, and then Enna, which is one of my rival people. She randomly just rolled really good, so she's still in the tournament. And then the PCs will do 1-on-1. Do you have different table art you could just put over the current table? Oh, I see, to make a bigger table. I could do. Is it just because we think it's too tedious to go through 2 rounds? I could make it where instead of going through 2 rounds per match, we could do 1 round per match. So we only do 3 skill challenges at these 2 tables each. And then at the end of that, we add it up and go. And then we switch to 1 table. And then we go through the final, 3. So things would go by a little bit faster at that point. But I do want it to simulate the fact that this is taking a while, too. I mean, if people want to do this tournament, that is going to take away from the heist shenanigans. On the other hand, perhaps that once the tournament gets to the final round, that actually brings Quentin out to as a spectator directly, and that kind of gets him out of the way. And then the party can kind of snoop in his office. That's actually probably a good idea. Snoop in his office, find the secret shrine area, and don't know what kind of they need to. They need to find some kind of really good clue in his office. And the clue could just be that a secret door that opens into this second office, and then find something there that they need to know something, because right now they don't know anything. So I need to give them some kind of hint that they're after these blood contracts and that they're deeper in the vault. So maybe he just has a fucking diary, like every D&D story crutch is a diary. It's the audio log of video games. It's like some way you've got to convey this information to the party or to the player without having the bad guy directly tell them. So they may have to just find... I mean, I guess you could use context clues. I could make somebody roll a check, but I kind of need it to be pretty obvious that they know, like, hey, this is where the blood contracts are being written. This looks like an official shrine to Mammon. And then maybe... But I guess you don't have to be that obvious. I mean, once they explore enough, they could find... If they make it through the security door here, they will need to, then there can be another signage on the door here that actually leads into the vault that says Vault Restricted Access. Even though it's technically not restricted access, because all you need is a pass card to actually make it in there. There's no secondary like pass or anything, but there's just, you know, signage. It's amazing how signs can deter people, I guess. I did remember to put that one guy in the cell. Although if it's been a whole day, I don't know if he's still in there. I guess maybe they put him in lockup for like 24 hours as punishment and then kick him out. Or maybe he talks to people in there and tries to offer them blood contracts when they get caught cheating. That could be an interesting poll. Okay, we can turn you over to the authorities, or you can sign this waiver that suggests that you didn't see nothing, and it turns out the waiver is a soul contract that binds you to the casino in some way. Which means maybe the staff are actually have been contracted as well. I haven't thought about that. And so far, I'm still playing it pretty mundane in terms of there's not like actual fiends too much anywhere. With the big exception of the dog. His dog that he's got with Quentin's dog is a straight up hellhound. And I've kind of teased that a little bit. He's just always with Quentin. It makes him a harder fight. And then the Bone Naga, which doesn't technically count as a fiend, is the guardian of the vault. If Quentin does get attacked, I guess I could summon additional fiends if needed. I think that's all I'm going to roll with. Got cheesecake, dang. You know, when we were at the state fair, one of the first foods we got was cheesecake on a stick. Because everything they design at the fair is like for walking food. And it was a straight up cheesecake. Which I have not eaten a cheesecake without a fork before. Just kind of like, dive right in. It was good. It was good. Got the Oreo crust, which was, it was okay. I wonder how many sessions do we think this is going to take them? The other thing that I know they're going to do, so they did end up with 2 employee pass cards. Cherie ended up with the employee pass card plus basically a uniform specifically for the massage parlor. I'm still not quite sure what their plan is. I think they wanted to dress up Verity and drag her along. My worry is, as much as I was like, I'm okay with whatever plans they have, my worry as a DM is that they grab Verity and make her do the stuff. And I'm like, well, you're the player characters. I wanted you to do the stuff, you know? So But we'll see what their grand plans is, I guess. But she doesn't know much more than, I mean, she knows the back rooms, but she also gave them a map that showed the back room. So it's like she gave them all the information that she would already know. So I'm not sure what other usefulness she would have, especially if she's pretending to be somebody else. Other people might recognize her as Verity instead. I was hoping instead that Sherry would actually use disguise self and do that whole shenanigans trick again, because that'll be the most effective thing to do. And if she comes by Quentin will seek her out, or I could do some fun thing where like the dog immediately knows it's her or something like that, so I could kind of ruin their plans that way. And then Verity could get kicked out again, or thrown in jail. That would be interesting too. I was thinking that would be a really cool twist if one of the players purposely kind of lost money or caused a ruckus and got thrown in the cell, and then could be later gone through the whole soul contract thing. I think that'd be pretty fascinating to try and pull off. But I don't know if the players would be that risky, I guess. And then Vero also got a pass card from one of the performers. So they have 2 pass cards available, which is good. They've already done that job, which is a huge one. So that will allow them access into these 2 hallways. Now, part of the problem is that these hallways, as soon as you walk in, you're immediately hit by the security camera, which, man, if this were a heist video game, that's not cool. You never want to just have the players open a door and just immediately have them get bathed in the detection zone. You want to at least give them, have one of those rotating ones where you can see the cone. You're like, oh shit, I got to dodge out of the way, or I got to do something. Like, these are pretty nasty. So if they're not magically disguised, if they don't look like a tiefling employee, they're going to immediately be found out. Which, I'm trying to read about, doesn't really say the security mirrors. Oh yeah, the cheating. Escorted by security to a boat, advised never to return and sent upriver. The guards, if the characters cause a ruckus, the nearest guard moves towards them and tries to quell the disturbance without resorting to violence. If attacked, the guard reacts in kind and shouts for reinforcements. All their guards arrive in 3 rounds. So I assume the security mirrors work similarly, where the guards will come running in. They would, I don't know how they magically, like, maybe they've got some other device. Or is it just that these guards themselves can come in? Because I don't know if they can get reinforcement. There's got to be some kind of telepathic connection here where they can, some DM bullshit rule they can pull off where it's like, hey, these are, all the alarms are being, the guards are being summoned or something. Maybe a PA system. Be like, can we please have security staff in the private back rooms, please? But we do have guards in the security mirror, and then one of them will probably come out and accost somebody. And again, with the security mirror being shown, like anything that happens is going to catch them right there. There is a big blind spot in this middle hallway, which the players, so like once they can try to get past these 2 mirrors, either one, and technically there's no mirror in the circus prep area. They can do whatever they want in here. They could start the whole heist in here if they wanted to with the animals and use that to cause a big distraction. That would actually be really fun, and I would totally be in favor of that, actually. I don't know, though, if that would pull like every single guard away from the security mirrors, for example, to come out here. But it might be enough to where if you open the door, pop out, see it, and then pop back in and be like, oh shit, we have to deal with this somehow. Or even we have to like race across or something. Like maybe I could work with the players that way if they're causing a legit distraction like somewhere else in the casino. So that's a major thing they have to get out of. But then once they get past either one of these mirrors, depending which hallway they're in, they're pretty well scot-free until they make it into the vault hallway area. So, because these are all the mirrors they look into, I think. There's no mirrors in the break room, and there's none in the offices, the prisons, so all those areas can actually be freely explored. And the other interesting thing is, there are security mirrors in the vault hallway and the vault itself, but if you have to presumably take out the security guards in A16, then if you've taken out these 3 guys, does the security system still function? Because as far as I know, there's a human element here, which they have to basically be looking physically through the mirrors to actually be scanning for stuff. It's a magical scrying device allowing guards in the security office to see through it like a window. If those guards aren't in the office, then technically nobody's looking through those mirrors. So that almost renders these final two mirrors on the way to the vault not even in use, because presumably the player, unless they're sneaking past them, will have to take these 3 guards out, which if that's a combat fight, that's fine, and it would be a pretty effective way to do it, because the only exit for these toughs, such an awkward word, the security staff, the only exit is the only other door into this place. So it'd be pretty easy to stop these guys from getting reinforcements, for example. So it'll be complicated to first get into the back rooms, although if they can somehow sneak in through the arena, granted there is a mirror up in the circus area too, that does help. Maybe the best thing to do, which they might not think of, is to destroy, break, or cover one of these mirrors, which would prompt, maybe a guard or 3 to come in here and investigate. In fact, does it say? Yeah, breaking a mirror or suppressing its magic leads 2 guards from area A16 to investigate and report what they learned to Quentin. So it actually summons 2 of them, and the party can take those 2 out. Now, unfortunately, while they're doing that, well, no, if they do break the mirror, then the other guy's not seeing anything. He's just seeing other mirrors. So they could take those 2 out and then continue on. So you could try to... So I think the most effective way to play this, again, I know everything, so I'm looking at the whole map, is to do it initially heisty, but then get ready to do some big fights. And then if they can play it pretty efficiently, they won't aggro the whole place, which is always, I think, the big fear and problem with a lot of heist adventures, is like at some point you aggro the whole place and it's just game over. And a lot of times that's when I would reload my save. So I'm like, oh, this isn't fun. I'm just have to fight everybody now. But sometimes it could be fun, especially if you make it pretty deep in. And a lot of heist stuff, it usually is pretty scripted, that stuff goes wrong and you have to fight your way out anyway, which is usually pretty fun. I think that was my idea, that everyone on the security team has soul contracts. But I don't know if the party doesn't know that. They don't even know that soul contracts are necessarily what they're after. I mean, I've alluded to that. But they don't know that. They don't know where they're stored. They may think they just have to make it into an office, for example, because realize when I gave them the map, I gave them a poorly edited version that did not include the vault. So you can see here where I very clearly in my MS Paint covered over the whole vault section. So instead, they just see this area here. So they might think like the office is the way to go. And they might actually try to avoid the security room entirely. And that might be an interesting twist if they do make it in the security room to beat up those guys. They're like, well, what is this door? This doesn't go anywhere. And then they see like vault security access only. And they're like, oh shit. So that would actually be really fun if they kind of just find it organically. But I do need to have something in the office, because I think that's where the party is going to be motivated to check out. And it would make sense that there would be something in his office. And like I said, maybe one of the cool things for the guys at the tournament would be to provide a distraction by having Quentin be taken there. So I think initially Quentin's going to be out here on the floor when the party first arrives. And then after the party starts to kind of do things, then Arlo will basically meet with Quentin to where the party can witness this and go into a back room. And that will at least get Quentin out of the way, so that if they need to move like Verity around or do some kind of shenanigans, they can. And then also, I'll try to time it where like before the second round of the tournament starts, Arlo will leave and Quentin will come back out. And I guess Arlo might actually check out they might walk together because he wants to see how Enna's doing. They'll return to A9, which is the tournament floor, and then that'll provide a distraction for him there, which could also be very helpful for the party, especially if they want to come in and loot his office, for example. Now they don't know that that's going to happen, that they need to provide that's going to be a distraction. Maybe somebody can mention something if they think about it. So I've got a scripted way of getting Quentin into his office and a scripted way of getting Quentin out of his office, if that makes sense. I'm sure the party will also want to do things, and I'd be willing to, obviously tailor that and kind of change that around as needed. See if there's something in his office I can use from the main thing. And I know I'm not going to use the magic like bone thing that controls the Minotaur skeleton that was originally here. I definitely don't want to give them control over Bone Naga. Honestly, I just want the Bone Naga to be a fun boss fight. We haven't had a good stand-up monster fight in this campaign yet, and I think that'd just be a fun excuse to do one right there, so I don't plan on having anything like that. And again, this is a level 2 adventure originally, so I'm scaling it up to level 4. Normally when they get to his office, he's here, I believe. I guess it says if he's in his office, then he talks to them. He spawns 2 Spine Devils. Quentin hires all casino staff personally. Okay, the top drawer of Quentin's desk holds a red candle, a quill, a jar of ink, a few sheets of parchment, a few envelopes, a tiny glass key that unlocks the display case in area A9. Okay. A copper ring bearing Quentin's wax seal, and a velvet pouch containing 25 gold pieces. The bottom drawer of Quentin's desk contains an unlocked wooden case that contains a 12-inch long rod made of bone with a stylized copper Minotaur head, which is this rod that controls the Minotaur skeleton I'm not going to use. Quentin also wears 9 gem-inlaid gold rings, 100 GP each on his fingers, and keeps an employee pass card on him. So, having all the things that can do contracts might be good. Probably, how do I want to do the secret room into the, because this is not a secret, I'm changing this out. This is normally just a, clerk's office. The ledger on the desk magically tracks all money moving in and out of the casino. Oh, that's interesting. Every coin and chip that passes through the cashier booth is recorded here in the appropriate column, scrawled in ink as if by some invisible hand. Any character who spends 1 minute reading the ledger can verify the casino's vault contains roughly 5,000 gold in coinage. Oh, man. Am I really about to give the party this kind of payday? Like, they can retire on that money. I mean, granted, they owe like $1,000 to Schemo, but damn. I had to sneeze. I'm allergic to giving the party that much money. And what's crazy is normally a level 2 adventure. That's a lot. That's crazy. I do like the idea of a magic ledger that's just filling things out by hand. That feels very, I don't know, D&D-ish, I guess. You know what we can do is, since I like the ledger idea, we can add a ledger that tracks the soul contracts. So I could have names and maybe dates or something, to where everybody who's basically signed away, that could be like another book. Or it could be as part of the ledger too. It's like, hey, they own these people as much as they own this gold, I guess. So it would be part of the same ledger. But the book, I need to make sure that it's not confusing. The book isn't the contracts themselves. The book just keeps track of who's in the vault. So maybe I should have specific. I need to be very specific here, not have it be confusing, and be like, this is contents of vault ledger. And then it can have the money, and the money is constantly kind of going up and down because of, chips and gold being back and forth. But if they flip through it, they should see that there are like people that are also named on there. And I don't know if they ever asked Verity's brother's name, but I can have them recognize that name. So that might actually be the solution that I'm looking for. So that is... what did I say? That's A15. Which I'm saying is the hidden office room / shrine. So first of all, there'll be a shrine to Mammon in the room, which would be pretty obvious that this is crazy stuff. And then maybe his hands are like outstretched with a... What would it look like if you were signing a con? I imagine you would literally have to sign in blood. So you probably have to prick your finger or hand or something. So maybe he just has like a claw outstretched and it's very bloodied. And the idea is that he very ritualistically takes people into the back room. He reads them out the contract, and they have to basically prick their finger and sign. I don't know if you have to write the whole thing in blood; they'll probably pass out. But yeah, at least sign your name in blood, or put just a blood mark on it or something. And at that point, Quentin personally probably brings the contract into the vault because that's the more secure location. So it happens here, but then he brings the contract into the vault itself. So I'll need to make sure to mention that so that then the players are like, okay, we need to find this fucking vault. And then if it's the security office, the only place they haven't been in, they're like, well, I guess we got to go in there. But like I said, I think it's actually advantageous to the players to go in here because once they take out these guys, the security mirrors essentially become non-functional. We just have to know if basically how supernatural is Quentin's connection to this place. Does he know if the security staff's destroyed? Can he contact them somehow? Maybe he has spells where he can just kind of telepathically. He's got like message. I mean, the part of me wants to be able to play like legit rules and have the DM and have the bad guys follow kind of the same rules, but also the DM does have that kind of prerogative to pull off some special DM powers. Message is 120 feet. Although you do have to point toward a creature. You can cast a spell through solid objects, but it is blocked by a foot of stone. So, and unfortunately, if he's messaging, that's not... The players can't really see that unless they have eyes on him. 120 feet actually does matter because this is a big fucking place. Yeah, so you kind of have to be in the bar area at A5 to be able to message the security team. Which he may, come out at some point and check on them. You can add a shift change during the heist to complicate things. New security suddenly shows up or something. The other players ditch some of the money. We could do that. That's true, just to bring in some more people. If you notice, I do have some tiefling toughs waiting in the wings for that specific... Not specifically for that, but just to kind of... whenever you, trigger a heist or something... or in any game, really, I'm thinking of the cops in GTA, something where it's not technically bringing people over, it's literally spawning people in. I think Skyrim might have done that. People just kind of spawn in if you reach a certain danger level, and that's kind of what's happening here, is I can just bring in more guards as I need to. And one thing I was impressed about, given that this is a level 2 adventure, is that we already left the bandit stat block behind, and we're using... what was the 2014 Thug stat block, and now is just the Tough stat block. But that is significantly more challenging than a bunch of guards. I mean, they have twice the hit points for starters, which is not what you necessarily want to have in a bunch of minions in a heist. You want to be able to knock them out pretty quick, but D&D does not actually have great rules for that unless you give everybody 5 hit points. So I'm rolling with this for now, but it could be a problem for the party if they end up in these kind of long... protracted fights. And unfortunately, I think one thing that got changed... Do we even have the old thug in here? Yeah. Because I think, didn't the old thug have multi-attack? I think the new ones don't. See, my shit's slow, man. I don't know if that has to do with the Amazon thing, but it's taking a while to load everything. Yeah, so the 2014 had pack tactics and multi-attack. Whereas the Tough does not... They do have pack tactics, but they do not have multi-attack anymore. Even though it's the same CR level. They have +1 AC, the same hit points. The same to hit, the same damage, so just a straight up nerf. I guess they have slightly more dex, so that added to their AC and their crossbow use. But that's a big nerf is to get rid of your multi attack. Yeah. It also so maybe that makes them easier, but also I've talked about this before, that balances things the wrong way to me, which is to make them more like hit point sponges. So they really don't do much. It's just that they last a lot longer, which is just never very interesting. I'd rather go the other way where they do more damage, but they are weaker. But I want to stick with what the adventure said as much as I can. Granted, I'm scaling this up for level 4, but we'll see how it goes. Like, I don't anticipate the players having to fight too many of them. Hopefully, they can realize at some point, probably too late, that I think I want to have all the security staff. We could have like 1 or 2, I guess, be maybe fiends in disguise, although I think it's only the really strong ones that can actually transform. I'm not quite good on my devilish lore. But I think if all of them are basically have been contracted by Quentin, I'm trying to think how he originally started though, because if they've all been given soul contracts, then did he just not have any security staff when he first started this whole place? That's the part I'm trying to. I mean, I don't think my player's going to dig that deep into the lore of it, but I'm trying to think like how did this place first start? How did he get all his employees in place? And the security staff. Maybe when he was in the interview process and he saw people that could make good muscle and were otherwise really desperate, he just gave them, before they were even able to be fully corrupted, he just straight up offered them a contract, and maybe some of them took it, and that was his originally security staff. There you go. I answered my question. Some ruckus happened on the casino floor. When no security come, he catches on. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there is still security all over the place, is the thing. Like, there's a security staff in A9. There's one wandering around between A5 and A10. There's one in all the main floors at the beginning, A1, 2, and 3. I don't think there's one in the circus. But the performers, I think I was going to have be loyal. Fairly loyal. I haven't decided if they're actually contracted or not. I don't think so. I think there's kind of sadistic assholes when it comes to the animals. Maybe I can do an interesting thing where the party, they end up shape-shifting and surprising these guys and using some kind of intimidation to actually cow them. I'm not opposed to that, I guess. They would definitely be hostile, though, so it'd probably give disadvantage. But we could still set the DC at like a 15 or something. Or maybe the DC that ends up happening is just however many of them they can talk down. So I would be willing for them to maybe solve that issue with RP, again, depending on how the players work it out. But these stat blocks are not necessarily pushovers either. I'm using the performer stat block. I mentioned that a bazillion times, I think. Although still not, any multi-attack there. They're actually just very similar to the tough, but they don't have pack tactics. They do have uncanny dodge. Comes down to damage per round. Well, I think it's a nerf, because doesn't that just nerf their DPS or DPR? Do we call it DPR? Damage per round? Because their attack didn't get boosted. They just lost their ability to do a second attack. So in my opinion, that would just straight up lower their DPR when everything else is the same, except they got a +1 to Dex, which does give them, I guess, +1 initiative, +1 to AC, and then their heavy crossbow got a +1 to its attack and to its damage. So I guess they became ever so slightly better at range damage. But yeah, we'll see how the party treats that. What I don't know if I want to do, this would be scaling the adventure up if I did this, is if, like, for example, the security staff is under attack, like the party makes it in here and actually opens into a fight, and I get like a round or two with these guys. Can these guys do anything other than just run around and scream to actually contact anybody else? Because they can look through the security mirrors, but I don't think there's technically any other. I think Lumpy mentioned like Magic Mouth. Can Technically, there's nothing like that here, I believe. So we'd be adding that in there to make things more complicated. And also, I do worry about doing that because, like I said, I would hate for just one battle to equal like, oh, now I've aggroed the whole place. Because I don't like that either. And if the party is smart and they make it all the way into here without aggroing the whole place, then I kind of want to reward them for that. Now, if they let one of these guys go and he manages to run outside and yell for help, then maybe we can change from there. If they run into the break room and ask for help, I think all these guys were just going to be commoners, and I don't think any of the employees are actually loyalists. They're just people. So I don't think that's actually going to do anything for them either. And actually, maybe being lobotomized makes it so they wouldn't sit there and run around and scream like people would. They would just fight to the death, I guess. So a lot of this, we just have to kind of wait and see what the party does and how they choose to pull this off, because I think they're going to have some cool ideas, but they still don't exactly know what they're up against, basically. Like they don't even know that they have to make it to a vault, for example. But putting some clues into room A14 and A15 is going to be key. Having scripted events to add complications is going to be key, which I think just having, again, Arlo meet with Quentin in his office during the beginning-ish of the heist, and then having that meeting be over. It's always a tricky thing, by the way, that makes the heist tricky for the DM is like, you know, a lot of dungeon crawls, you're just sitting there and the party is doing all the things and you're just reacting to that. Other than maybe having some patrolling monsters or something. But for here, this is supposed to be a place where things are happening. And not only are the party doing things that the world has to react to, but the world is still doing things that the party has to react to. In other words, there's scripted events going on. So I have to keep track of, like, when to basically do those. And I did have somebody get arrested, if you notice, earlier, so they could kind of see what happens if somebody's caught cheating. They get, you know, seen and they get dragged out. And I like the idea of having Quentin kind of appear out of nowhere, because maybe he's the main one who gets aggroed. If the security mirrors catch somebody. Ooh, that could be really complicated though, because I got to be careful with that. The second Quentin gets aggroed, it becomes real crazy. Probably I will have it scripted where if the party manages to loot the stuff in the vault, when, then on the way out, Quentin will appear, and then he'll give them like the counter offer. Although if their literally bags are heavy with thousands of gold, it's going to make any counter offer feel pretty bad. But maybe that's the idea, is he's like, look, you can come out of here with your lives. I'll even let you walk out of here with some of that money, but not all of it. And I'll let you walk out of here with some of those contracts, but not all of it. Basically, he's just trying to cut a deal with them. Instead of forcing a boss, because I think, that's what the usual thing is. You force like another real boss fight here with Quentin the Hellhound, which I don't know if it's in the hallway. How strong of a boss fight would that be? The Hellhound's a CR3. It does have a cool like fire breath that it can do, which I need to change that. I don't like the way Roll20 does this, by the way. I like to keep it as the roll. There we go. So that should look. Oh my gosh, it's lagging on that too. Ooh, I rolled real bad damage. Ooh, that's bad damage. 14 on our 5d6. I guess it's slightly below damage, but it feels bad. DC 12 is not that high. 15-foot cone is not that. It's honestly, it's just a high-powered Burning Hands. It's Burning Hands at, like 5th level? But he can recharge it. Otherwise, he gets 2 bite attacks, which have a chance of doing 10 damage each. That's pretty good. Pack Tactics might help if Quentin's around. And then Quentin is the cultist fanatic who can summon spiritual weapon. Fortunately, I don't think he has a regular ranged attack he can do, which is kind of lame. Like spiritual weapon. Oh, interesting. Is that actually an action? No, it says bonus action. I don't think that's supposed to be under his action things. Bonus action, the cultist casts spiritual weapon, and then bonus action, you can move the weapon up to 20 feet and repeat the attack against the creature. Okay. But he doesn't have anything he can do with his action other than Pact Blade, which is actually a pretty damn good... No, +2 to attack. That's kind of dumb. It does a lot of damage, but +2 is bad for a physical attacker. Does he not get... yeah, not even the Hexblade things. They don't give him... He's only the +1 in Charisma. He needs like the Shillelagh or something. He's got the Wisdom. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Hold Person is pretty devastating, though, if he gets that off. Once per day, and then Command. But if he casts Spiritual Weapon... I guess you cast Spiritual Weapon once on the first round, and then as an action, you don't really do anything if they're not in melee range. And then on future turns, you can then use Spiritual Weapon as a bonus action. And then you can cast, which for some reason Command is not on here. You can cast either Hold Person or Command. Either of those are concentration. He would only probably fight as a last resort. And I think when he's defeated... I need to give him more hit points. I think I did give him more hit points, actually. Yeah, I gave him near max hit points, 64. I guess the whole casino starts collapsing. I don't know. Maybe he gets dragged into hell. And they end up defeating the whole casino by destroying him. I haven't thought that far ahead. I think we've got some time to figure that out. If I really want the party to do that much. I mean, I just think if they... Once they realize this place is that evil, like they're literally... There's a shrine to a devil in here, and they are kind of designed to manipulate people into signing these horrible contracts, then they're probably going to want to shut this place down anyway. So I could kind of force that by having that nice little Quentin battle. But they might not expect that Quentin battle, like if they're fighting the Naga, and they don't think to like... And I guess the other tricky thing is if you're in the middle of a heist, I don't know if the party even feels like they can short rest, because we went back on our house rules, remember, with the 2024 rules. I'm back on the official rules, which says that a short rest takes 1 hour, unlike our last campaign where I had it be 5 minutes. So the 1 hour short rest, that actually does come into play during a heist. And if you're in a dangerous situation, that could be awkward. Although there's not a whole lot directly happening here. It just kind of depends if there's like, you know, a dead body somewhere or somebody's would need to check. But you might be able to let an hour go by in certain situations. I'm thinking this will probably take us 3 more sessions, because everything they do is going pretty slow, honestly. And they haven't even seen this whole area. And there's a lot for them to do. There's the whole circus thing. There's whatever the fuck they're going to try to do with Verity and sneaking her in. There's the tournament going on. They will have to at least have one fight with the tough security guards at some point. The fight with the Bone Naga up here. Maybe a fight with these performers, although I'm like I said, I'm kind of tempted to let them use some kind of intimidation or other shenanigans at getting rid of them. A little bit of dungeon exploring here with, I think there's a trap, well, we mentioned last time about above the door in A18, like a big fire breath or something. Because maybe Quentin himself is supposed to come in and kind of place his hand on the slate. Or walk through or something. I forget exactly how I was going to do that. So there's a lot, and they have to figure out how to escape. Which, that could be the thrilling thing, is if they destroy Quentin and the whole place starts collapsing, everybody starts screaming and trying to run out of here, like, can you get all these people into boats? And that's something he can mention, is like, if you kill me, this whole place goes down. Ooh, that's a good threat. This whole place is here because of my will and the deal I've made. If I am destroyed, this whole place is destroyed, and all the people inside go with it. That's a pretty nasty threat. Make an insight roll on that to see if he's telling the truth. And I think he would be, although I would probably have it be a dramatic, like, Super Metroid style load-bearing boss sequence. God, I fucking hated that. That stuff stresses me out so much, especially after a big boss fight. God, the the DuckTales, that really good DuckTales NES game. They did a remake of that a couple years ago. A couple, it was probably like 10 years ago. That I love, but they did that same fucking thing where it's like you get to the final area, you beat it, you beat the boss, and then all of a sudden you have to do this really challenging platforming section afterwards, after I'm already frazzled. And of course, there's no save point or anything after that. I'm just like, this is the worst thing. I hate video games. I just went off on so many rants. But here, you know, there's no save thing to worry about and all that, and I think that could be a pretty compelling threat. And then the party would definitely all need to jump out of the waterfall, possibly fall down and get knocked out from that, I guess. So yeah, I think we could start even getting ahead a little bit, unless I can think of more things to talk about for this stage. Obviously, after we do each Friday, there might be more things for me to react to. But, you know, so far I'm discovering that the heists are kind of weird like that, where I'm kind of in a holding pattern until the party starts interacting with events, because we're in the same area for so long, and I have to prep everything all at once. So it's a lot of prep up front for me. But then as the weeks go by, as it takes us a long time to get through this, I can kind of just use all that prep that I've done, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it's not like we've progressed this far into the dungeon, now I have to prep these other rooms. It's like, no, I've had to kind of prep the whole damn thing at once. And now I just sit and kind of, any changes the party makes, I can react to that or try and come up with new things for them to deal with. But so far, I think we've already covered that this session. So maybe on Thursday we could even start getting ahead of things and starting to talk about the next adventure I want to pull off, which I believe is going to actually be the level 5 adventure, which I remember liking. Talkworth's Clockworks. I think we're going to skip Reach for the Stars because I didn't think it was very interesting and not a great heist. And then Prisoner 13, I thought was straight up horrible from a heist standpoint. And we've already explored Rebel's End very famously in my Icewind Dale Realm of the Frostmaiden campaign, so I definitely don't need to use that one. So I think Talkworks is going to be the next one we go to, and then we'll have to talk about if we want to actually level the party up again or not. I probably will. I think we're on a decent pace to go ahead and level them up basically after each one of these, I think. I'll have to check my notes for that. Otherwise, I think that is going to do it for this session of Crafting the Golden Vault. If you enjoy the content, as always, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. And if you also want to help support the channel, please check out our sponsor affiliate at nobleknight.com, Noble Knight Games. Shout out to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Brandon, Genocide, Roleplay, Roll, Christopher, Big Nut, John, Nathan, Andrew, Stephanie, Jason, Libby Spawns, Wardy, Mil, Seat, On the Dogs, Marcus, Sneelgy, Hugo, Sasha, John, Morbid Reaver, Jello Sky, Zim, Jesse, Dante, Sarah, how about Demnix, Sean, and Sharny, and Gold Patrons, RPG, Paragraphs, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Deadless Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Scott, Rufus, Jerry, Glenn, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you all on Thursday.